Welcome to the Joy of Connecting, where modern professionals share stories of meaningful connection and how it can increase business success, unlock career growth, and create personal happiness. If you like what you hear today, get even more by following the Joy of Connecting on LinkedIn and subscribing to our newsletter that features tips from experts on how to network and connect with more meaning. Welcome back to the Joy of Connecting show, listeners. We are going global today. You know, I'm always in Alaska, but we are dialing into Scotland and Sweden as well today, which is bringing us transnational. I am sitting down with two absolutely brilliant women, one of whom I have known for probably about 2.5 years now, thanks to connections. That's why we're all here. And I'm excited to present Shaena Harrison and Orlaith Brogan. They are the co-founders of a company called Wing People. And we're going to get the story of how it started. But before we really get into the company itself, I'd love to know a little bit about the two of you. Shaena, maybe you could start us off by telling us, kind of what it is that you do for a living, but more specifically, who are you passionate about helping?
Great questions. So what do I do for a living? So I always joke I'm a recovering event producer turned professional wing woman. So I used to produce major conferences and festivals all over the world, and I have a background in sales. And this Wing People part came in quite accidentally, but also on purpose with a little bit of help of AI. And who am I passionate about connecting is anybody who needs to get somewhere, if that helps. And it could be for multiple different reasons.
Ooh, it's very conceptual. I like that. We all need to get somewhere. The question is, where are we getting to? And your incredible partner, Orlaith. Orlaith, why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of what you're doing? We could talk about your titles as well, since you're both part of Wing People, and who are you passionate about helping?
Hi there, my name's Orla, and much like Shaena, my background is in sales and business development, and I qualified as a certified coach. And for the past 10 years, I've been working as a business coach for business owners. And most recently, I got invited to join my best friend in her amazing business that I've cheerleaded throughout for the past few years, and I jumped at the opportunity. And who I'm passionate about helping is anyone who has a message to share, but feels like they're a little bit shyer or they pull back in certain situations, and they want somebody just to introduce them, help them share that message in a way that feels right for them.
I love the thread of that, because part of the reason we're here today is all three of us, I will venture to bet, are fairly natural connectors. We're people who probably came out of the womb trying to make introductions and chatting with everybody at the party. But I love how you've tied that to help your focus on that, passionate about helping people who maybe aren't actually that way. And that's something we see a lot on the show, is the discussion between those who are inclined to connect no matter what's happening and those who maybe need the support. So that's actually a lot of where Wing People comes into play, right? Shaena, can you tell me a bit about how the idea for the company was sparked and how it then turned into a full company?
Yeah, absolutely. So the year was November 2022. I had just lost my fourth job in 3 years. And for anyone going through layoffs, I see you, I feel you. Oh my Lord, it's brutal out there. And I think for me, two things happened. So ChatGPT had just come out to the mass market, and a phone call from a friend. He's like, "Hey, Shaena, I met you at that event 8 years ago. You introduced me to everybody in the room. I met founders, I met investors, I met sales leads. Can you do that for me again? I want to pay for you to go to a conference with me. Can you be my professional wing woman?" And I was like, what the heck is professional wing woman? So at the same time, ChatGPT had come out to the mass market. So I typed it into ChatGPT, and I'm like, "You like to help people find love?" And I'm like, "No, I don't."
No.
No. But in the world of events, in the last role I had was an event marketing manager, and God loved my sales team. But, we had all of these people come to the event, all of these wonderful, qualified, connections. And my sales team sat together drinking beer. And I'm like, "Why aren't you talking to people?" Like, "Oh, well, we don't really like to." And meanwhile, I think, me and I know Orla as well, we've always been those people that can basically talk to a wall. Going like, "Oh, cool. Like, what brings you here? What do you do? And, oh, you should talk to this person over here." And so it was like this penny drop moment of like, oh my God, I see the gap in the market. And, Wing People was born shortly thereafter. So we're helping people basically work rooms in a way that feels more authentic and natural for them.
So important. And then Orla, you said you've been a cheerleader of this since very near the beginning.
She's my wing woman.
She's the wing woman. What was the spark, based on your experience, that really made you feel so passionate about supporting Shaena in this? Besides the
Um,
fact that Shayna's just great and you're friends.
yeah, yeah. Well, besides the fact that she's my best friend and I love her and I see how amazing she is, I think I've run networking for over 10 years here in Edinburgh. And I always noticed that people were nervous coming into a room. And what I noticed is that the welcome was the most important. And if you could make somebody feel really welcome when they came into a room, they kind of felt disarmed. So any nerves that they were coming in, like left that situation. But when you're running events, you can't always check in on them throughout the entire event. So then I heard about Shane and she said, well, I would be with that person and I would make sure they knew who to talk to and I would work the room and I would make sure I knew who to introduce them. And I was like, I could just see how relevant that is in the events that I'm running myself and how amazing that would be. So when Shane invited me on board, I was like, I get it. Like, I totally get why people need it. I get how it makes events better. I get how I enjoy doing it because not only can we talk to anyone, but we enjoy talking to anyone and we're genuine with it. And like, whether it's the person making our coffee or it's the taxi driver, like Shane and I will talk to anyone, but we thoroughly become better people because of it, because we learn more about them. We learn more about the world. And we are those people that like light up having conversations and listening and getting to know about people.
You mentioned how by doing that well, it makes events better. I want to follow up on that a bit because it's very two-sided as well. It makes events better for the attendee, but absolutely it's going to make events better for the folks who are putting on an event. How do you all right now, this is the startup junkie in me, how do you all play into that from a what you offer standpoint? Because I can see both sides getting a lot of value.
Yeah, I mean, I think, okay, so there's two different sides of that, right? So you have the event organizer who's obviously put a lot of time, effort, energy, money, whatever it is to build the gathering that they're creating. And for a lot of events, especially for those who's in the B2B space, it is sponsor booths. It's a lot of networking. People are there to drive leads and sales and partnerships and whatever. So from that perspective, how we work with the organizers is then basically to be like inserted on the floor. And if we work really well with the organizers to go, okay, you have X sponsor, you have X attendee, like let us serendipitously create this sort of magic of how do we connect people. And it's a case of this weird super connector brain, as we all know, like if for this, we'll go, like, oh, you do this, you do this. Like putting that layer into the event experience makes that event so much better, which means sponsors are come out with better, conversations, attendees don't feel like they're pitch slapped, like all of these wonderful things that are happening, right? Or vice versa. The other side is, I think, for attending events with people, like either with or without a booth, and making sure, again, that like they've done. I think most people can probably like reflect on this is like when you're working a full-time job and you're going to an event, it's part of your strategy. You don't necessarily have the time to necessarily sit aside and go, okay, so who am I meeting? What's my ICP? What are our conversations? That prep work is where we sort of come in and we help them understand who they are, but also that's that support mechanism. And then at the event is physically being with them to go, okay, now we know we need to meet these people. Let's do our best to meet them, but also the serendipitous conversations. And then finally, like the afterwards, like how do we make sure that you have your entire list, how to follow up with them, how to make it human, how to make sure that you plant the seeds. So for whatever your goals are, you can really hit the ground running, right? And make sure that when you have to report back to your marketing manager, what I used to be, you can showcase like the ROI of whatever that event was that you attended. And therefore, that it works, the whole ecosystem benefits from it.
It does. And I love the word you brought up, serendipity. I think so often on this show in particular, when we talk about connection, there's a lot you can create and manufacture, and then there's a lot that just happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Orla, how would you say you guys think about, serendipity how do you, create more space for that? How do you make the most of it? Do you have thoughts on serendipity in the world of connection, I suppose?
So my thoughts would be to release attachment. Like so many people enter into a conversation with a clear intention that I want to get something out of it. Whereas when you release attachment to that person and who you're speaking to and you think I'm having the conversation for the sake of it's how we connect as humans, that natural art of asking them questions, listening to them, reflecting back, like all of those things where you're present in that moment with that person. I think that when you release attachment to, I want to get a sale, I want to get a connection, and you just genuinely want to find out more about that person, you can ask deeper questions, you can go further, you can move in different ways. And that for me is where the serendipity comes because it's so genuine. And that person can sense, okay, they genuinely care about me right now. I will tell them more information and my guard is down. And I will tell them things that I wouldn't tell other people because people aren't stupid. They know when someone's after a sale and they know when someone's doing the hard sell and they know when someone's planting the seed. But when you come and you genuinely want to get to know someone, which Shaena and I have been doing this together for 18 years, like we have tag teamed on nights out and done it so many times. And when you're just like, tell me a little bit more about yourself, but you're doing that because you actually want to know about that person, they will tell you things that are completely random that can lead to that next stage, and they're absolutely magical.
Well said. One of the questions I often ask, and so I'm going to do it now, is are there any magical questions or phrases that someone who is not necessarily an expert at doing this could use to unlock a conversation of that sort?
I have a few favorite ones. I don't know about you, Orla. Like,
Tell me yours.
so like one that I always use, like, what brings you here is usually one of my favorite go-tos. Like, what brings you to this event today? Or like, what's the best part about today? These sort of like open-ended questions that isn't a yes or no. Or just trying to think about like other things too. Like the last event, the big event that I went to was Slush in Helsinki. And it was just a case of like my favorite go-to when you go to like an event and you make it super fun is like they have these huge name tags, which is brilliant from an event. I actually posted about it on LinkedIn on how they design their name tags. But I'll go up to someone and be like, "Oh, you have a bunch of I's and a bunch of K's in your names. Are you finished?" And they'll be like, "Yeah." I'm like, go figure. Like just gets the conversation going, right? And getting that sort of bit of humor in. How about you, Orla?
Yeah. For me, I think it's twofold. I think it's the question that you ask, but it's also prepared to ask a follow-up question. So my thing is, how are you feeling today? And when they say, okay, I'm feeling a little nervous, tell me why. And when they get to say, because for me, like I started my business with a newborn baby. So most of the people I met were incredibly isolated. They had a small
Tired.
world.
Yes, I'm feeling tired. Yes.
Absolutely knackered. And they'd come in, they were like, I haven't spoken to a human about my business in 6 weeks. And I was like, tell me how you're feeling. And then when you just kind of ask the next question, I think once you make it safe for them to open up, anything's possible. And that comes from having not just one question, but like maybe two or three in your toolkit to kind of just make them feel safe, make them know that you're listening. And then people want to open up. Like they want to tell they want to tell you about themselves. That's absolutely natural. But I think it's, how are you feeling? Tell me a little bit more. And then I always say, you're not alone. And then I can introduce them to someone else at the event that's maybe just had a baby, that's maybe just switched jobs, that's maybe starting a business. And you can connect to them with the people who are at that same level, and they can have that conversation with themselves. And then from there, their confidence grows that they're not alone in how they're coming into the event. And then they can spread their wings a little bit further. So it's not just one question, it's a follow-up questions for me.
And those questions on the level of that put them to not feeling alone already is at a stage where it's actually meaningful, right? It's going to be creating meaning for wherever they're at. I'd love for you each to maybe give me a take on, in this world that is nonstop and we're hammered with digital and people are sitting at dinner tables on their phones, to get to that level of meaningful connection. What do you think? I'll say we at a very general human level, but what do you think we on the broad level or individual level really need to be doing more of to get to that meaningful connection?
I have some ideas. I mean, like, I have a secret society here in Stockholm, and I don't know if we've spoken about this before. That's called the Ugly Ladies. We talked about this?
I think
No?
maybe once.
No.
I think you mentioned
Once?
yes. Mm-hmm.
So, and like the whole purpose is the reason we're called the Ugly Ladies is it's the ugly Christmas sweater, ugly gift exchange dinner for ladies who dine, which is too long of a name. So it's like the Ugly Ladies. But in order to be in that community, you need to be a lady. Sorry, guys. You need to be just like down to earth, and you just need to be based in Stockholm, right? Like three simple things. And that community, because I mean, I'm part of other communities too, but that community has no overarching business, no overarching like common thread. And that, everyone said it's been like the place where they've actually been able to feel like they fit in because they found people of similar values. And I think that's the thing that comes down to is like, who are the people that are around you that have the similar values and can help you sort of feel, comfortable in your skin. And we need more of that. And like, as we go with automation and AI and, everything being kind of fragmented everywhere. I think does that answer that?
Yeah, that's well said. I mean, that resonates strongly with me in the way that I think about community as well. And oftentimes on this show, we talk about connection, but we also immediately talk about community because they are so integrated. Orla, did you have a follow-up on that?
Yeah, for me, it's about honoring a natural incubation period. Like, I feel like we live in a world that's so instant, like I can connect to somebody across the globe, like straight away. But I feel like everything's so rushed now online and so rushed on Instagram. Like I was chatting to Shaena about it. It's like, I really don't like it when people add you on LinkedIn and they sell to you straight away. Like I was like, just have a gap in
Pitch
between.
slap.
The pitch slap, like totally. And for me, it's like honoring the incubation period, like honoring that, like like Shane and I have been friends for 18 years, and it took us a long time to build trust about being open and honest and cheerleading. And I feel like when you meet connections and when you're trying to build relationships, especially if you're trying to do business with people, that cannot happen immediately. And while at an event, it's amazing that we connect you with the right people and we're really intentional about that. You have to honor that incubation period and be like, okay, well, how long would it realistically take for them to know that I genuinely have the solution to their problem? Have I really listened to what's happening? And I think we live in a world where so many of our solutions are instant, but that human connection is not instant. Like rapport is instant, but knowing who they are, what they have to offer, and are they the answer to my problems, just allow that to take time, and just to respect that the longer that takes, probably the deeper the relationship you're going to have.
Yeah, or I think also like where it's going to come to the back. And a really good example of that is, so like this year I went to London Experience Week. Frances, who's also on the Wing Squad, who's absolutely amazing. She is an experienced designer like no other. We ended up sitting in beanbags, and we call it like business in beanbags. We coined it. But somebody crossed our paths, and his name is Mehi, and he's a producer of a huge event in London, right? I know, because of me being me, that he needed some support with what she does, that she didn't really know him. So I'm like, oh, you two who just literally crossed paths, I need to get you two connected, right? But it's not until now. So this is like 8 months later that something's coming to fruition, right? And it's not because she chased him or he chased her. It's just because he was ready and he knew that she existed. And that was all because of that little business and beanbag moment that you could never plan for, right?
I think that's it, to be in this long-term mindset of it's not instantaneous gratification. You have to believe in the power of connection, which I suppose leads me to a more specific question. I'd love to hear from each of you. Ideally, you've seen probably thousands of really amazing connections that have been made through the work that you've done. Maybe could you impress me with the power of one that you've seen? It maybe took a long time, or it started somewhere and it built into something else. But whether it was a personal success or a professional success, I want to inspire our listeners with, like, what is the potential behind that untransactional investment, which can really pay off in the long run?
Yeah.
Orla's got one. She's like, let me go.
So if you think back to lockdown many moons ago, like lockdown was absolutely tough for us, and it was like where you guys, like, we were completely shut off from the world. We couldn't do any events. And then in 2021, we decided to do outdoor events. So we've got a beach near us in Portobello, and we would do outdoor swims at the beach, and we hired silent discos. So we did like a massive fire and a silent disco because we were social distancing. We could have enough people there. And a woman at the event basically told me a problem that she had, and I connected her with someone at the night. I was like, go and message them now. I was like, just send them a message, because it was quite a deep problem that I don't want to mention. But they were like, this is the issue that I have, and it's not good, but here's what's happening. So they connected with that person that night, and then they parked it, right? And I didn't hear anything. We worked together for another year. I didn't ask. I trusted that they'd made that connection. And I bumped into her last week in Edinburgh. She was down in Edinburgh for her for her annual shopping trip with her family. And she said that person transformed my life. She was like, basically the care that I got from that person, everything. And she was like, I still remember that night. We were drinking vodka on the beach. We all, like, there was like maybe about 20 of us. We went swimming, we went dancing. She goes, it was the best night of my life. And I didn't want to ruin that on the night. I was like, just give her the connection, trust that she's going to make it. But I feel like when you work with people, sometimes you could be recommending therapists, you could be recommending life coaches, you could be recommending PTs, like especially when you work on one-to-one coaching. And I showed Shaena, I was like, oh my God, I got this nicest message. And she's like, thank you so much. She was like, that transformed my life, just that connection that you made. And I was crying like 5 years later. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. But it was genuinely like knowing what she needed, knowing that I didn't need to take over the now. You can recommend that solution, but also I bumped into her. So when we talk about serendipity, I was getting a Starbucks on my way to an event, and she's like, I can't believe I just met you. I was just telling my husband, I'd love if I bumped into Orla, because they live in the north of Scotland, like way up in the middle of nowhere. She's like, I'd love if I bumped into you. And we did. And she's like, that's amazing. Like, I can't believe. And I was just like, wow, like everything about it was amazing. And I feel like we have those, when you run your own events, you have those moments again and again and again. And you just feel so blessed that you do.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
Beautiful. Yeah. Shaena, of all of the many, many, many connections you've made, does one pop to mind to share?
But again, there's always things to go back to my mom, right? Like the reason I am who I am is because of her. And, like she's sort of the first ever Make-A-Wish in Canada. So her, as a single mom, I watched her grant these beautiful, like moonshot connections for, children that were, had whatever ailments that they were having. So like, some of the favorite ones were like We Rescue was her first wish. I got to meet MacGyver, like celebrity stuff, right? But even though that's the celebrity stuff, what you realize that was somebody's dream coming true. And like I want to say the quest to get to that person or that thing is, I think, how I ended up becoming a connector, and didn't realize that it was a superpower until later in life, going like, oh, wow, we can do these things. And some of the most, incredible connections, like I still have a letter over in my kitchen. This was this time last year, it came through the post, and it was a thank you for a connection I did 8 years ago that I didn't realize I did, that ended up getting her dream job at LinkedIn. And I have it there like in my kitchen just to remind me that you never know that one little ripple effect or that butterfly wing flap is going to help somebody get to where they need to be.
All of these give me the shivers, and the story of your mom and what she's given you, and then even the connections you did in her honor and celebrating her have been so powerful themselves.
Thank you.
Can I add to that? Is that okay? Because like
Please.
I love Shayna's mom. Like I absolutely love her. We always joke that her mom and my mom are really similar, and that like maybe
Long
the
lost sisters.
like a joke. But like my memory of Michelle, because I absolutely worship that woman, was when she was here in Edinburgh. And like we were really good. Like we had our clique because we were in our 20s and we had our friends and we went out at the weekend. And obviously Shaena was the first of us to have children. Michelle made friends like that. Like Michelle was over for 2 months and she had a list of friends. And she was like, all right, I need to go back out tonight because I need to see Jack and I need to see this person. And we were like, who are these people? And she was literally in Edinburgh to visit Shaena, obviously when Shaena had Ethan and Ethan was a little baby. And once Ethan was gone to bed, she was out making friends. And she was only in the city for a few years.
So much fun.
She had more friends in those few weeks than I probably have made in Edinburgh in 21 years. And I feel like that. And I also think like, I feel like it's very similar to my dad as well. But like part of what we do is kind of like in testament to them. It's like saying like your skills mattered, like, and not from a trauma perspective, but from an actual honoring how amazing they were. And like every time I think of Michelle, I just think, how many friends have you still got in Edinburgh that we don't know about? Like probably 20.
Well, the karaoke nights where we'd end up there and my mom would be singing like Delilah and we would walk in and
she'd be dancing.
You're not alone, because it is a very common, if not, I could probably go figure out the stats, if not 100% accuracy, that the folks I have on this show as guests, more often than not, when I ask where that instinct came from, where that they have one parent or another or both that had that gene, that they came out at birth like this. So here's the challenging question.
Interesting.
This is one of kind of the rap. It's very common. It's very common. Someone, I remember one in particular, didn't think about her father as having all of these connections. But when they went to his memorial, there were like thousands of people. And he did this, he did that for me. And so it's not always a spoken about superpower, but, and maybe back a generation ago, maybe it was just, they were the butcher, but they were doing connections in the store and they were building community.
But it's also it's not a trauma response. Like I feel like so many industries are like, right, how can I heal it? Like I feel like my dad and my mom were both amazing connectors, but they did it because that's how you build business. Like you build business by being nice to everybody.
You build community. Exactly.
And it's key. And like I see that at home. Like I see that like building community still has those core elements. And I feel like that's one of the things is we are naturally community builders because we remember that building communities is the most important thing. And I feel like that ability not to forget that is absolutely huge.
And on two fronts, it's the most important thing to building a business, and it's the most important thing to building a healthy human, like a healthy self, right? Like being connected. We often in the show go in one professional direction, and then sometimes we'll go in a completely psychological analysis direction. One of the questions I want to be sure to ask you, I can tie into what we were just chatting about, which is oftentimes parents are our inspiration. And the thing is, sometimes the folks that are listening to this maybe don't have that. They don't have a built-in connector in their lives. They haven't seen it in action. So besides following both of you and everything you do, who are other inspirations for you when it comes to just doing connecting right?
You. Oh, you do. I was like,
Stop it.
He's so good at this.
You have to pick another answer. It cannot be me.
Oh my God.
Anyone else you follow or a book you've read or something where you just go, wow, that person gets it. They know how it works.
Oh, genuine connection.
yeah. And that's a good one.
So I'm going to name, he's an Irish creator. His name's Conor Crichton. I can send you how to spell that. But he is really good at just having deep and meaningful conversations with the camera, which I really respect, because I find so much of what we do is really elaborate, and it's like different lighting, different camera angles. He just goes, let's chat about this. And he chats, and there's a difference for me between shining a light on something and shining a torch on something, and he kind of just shines a light on it. So he just makes you aware of the conversation that we're chatting about. And he's an amazing connector. He recommends people. He honors the source. He does all of these things, but he's absolutely phenomenal for us.
Oh, wonderful. I love when there's folks I haven't heard of. That's really
Amazing.
exciting. I'll get his name.
Incredible.
Listeners, that's going to be in the show notes. If you're
and he just has a conversation with you, just with you, and just the connection is unreal.
Honestly, everybody said Orla. Like, I'm pointing down to her. Like,
We're up. I'm up for you.
I mean, oh, you're up. Okay, well, I'm pointing like you're here. But honestly, Orla and I we've just decided to, like, again, the Wing People has been around since 2023. Been running it alone, and it wasn't until a couple of weeks ago, 6-7 weeks ago now, where Orla's been running her own business for the last 10 years, and she's been an incredible inspiration sales coach. She's the one that's telling me, Shaena, you need to start your own business. I'm like, yeah.
She did not listen.
I did not listen. There is a running theme and thread here. But it wasn't until a couple of weeks ago we call each other regularly, because that's what you do with your best friend, who is also an entrepreneur. And I think we were both going like, oh man, I'm so lonely. Like, and you're like, I'm so lonely. And I'm like, hang on a second. Has the answer been right in front of my nose for the last 18 years, or the last 10 years, or the last 3 years? And then we had this moment. But Orla, I said, for somebody who is a natural connector, outpour of love and human, she didn't start it. She should hear on the phone.
I'll give you a perfect example. We went to an event years ago. Shaena was like, we all need to fly into Scotland for this event. Everyone needs to come. And everyone came, and the only person that enjoyed the event was Shaena and myself. But what I noticed at the event was there was a person on their own, and Shaena and I were the only people that brought them in. There was a lady, and I was like, would you like to join?
Michelle. Her name was Michelle.
Yeah. And I was like, would you like to join us? And Shaena was like, I love that you did that. And I was like, but we're not leaving people out on their own.
Yeah.
It's just not, if we're in an event and we see someone at their own, and there was 3 of us went to the event, and I think 12 of us went to dinner,
Yeah.
and they all loved it. And then when we got back, we were very much like, we'll just connect people. There was a woman standing on their own, we brought them in and we did that. But we also enjoyed doing it, and it enriched our day. We had our chance to connect. But I also think Shaena and I have got a relationship where we're incredibly honest with each other. So if something's upsetting us, we say it early, and we say it once. So we don't leave it. We're like, okay, this annoyed us. Can we do that?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's why our friendship has been so strong for so long, because we do that, and it's working in our business as well.
I love noting that
Well
one of the
said.
pieces of connection is the observation. I love that's a big part of it, is looking and seeing who needs the connection.
Who's on their own.
Yeah. I love
Who's
that.
on their own.
Well, I feel like we got a bunch of connection. We talked a bunch of inspiration, and we also touched a bit on how you all run the business, which is really cool to see. Businesses built around connection. I mean, that's how we first got in touch, Shaena. It's not an easy space to build. It's not just money rolling off the Silicon Valley, train. But I really respect founders that are building to build better connections in this world. So it's been wonderful to have you. I have to ask you to plug a little bit now. Where can people actually go find more about Wing People when they're like, I need you on my wing, or I have an event that needs you there? Where should they find out more?
Wonderful. So we have a new domain since we rebranded to Wing People. It's wingpeople.io, right?
I talked over you.
Wingpeople.io. Wingpeople.io.
Yeah. And you can also book
that
a free event strategy call. So if you think that events are part of your strategy for your business, your sales, and you're not sure how to map out the before, during, and after, we offer a free call. You can book
or which
that
events you should be at. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So we really help you work out on that call where events that human connection slots into your overall sales and marketing strategy, what that looks like for you. And if you feel we're involved, we can chat about that further. But I feel like that's the key for people, is knowing that they can create that event strategy and kind of really see where human connection, because 85% of people, we've looked at studies, 85% of people want to chat and they want to network when they go to events because they see the value in it. And we want to help you nail that strategy.
So good. I mean, I imagine every business owner listening to this especially is thinking, I'm already investing in events. Well, do you want to get the most out of it? Then let's go get that call. Let's go have this call with Shaena and Orlaith.
And it's the before, during, and after. It's not
Yes.
just the event on the day. How do I map out who I want to connect with? Are we connected on LinkedIn? Have I been engaging with their content? What the intention is on the day and what the follow-up looks like? And then you're kind of creating that master plan that works for you. So if you miss something on the day, you've got everything. But you won't miss something on the day because we'll be there with you. But like, you have everything mapped out, and you're laughing.
Well, sometimes we talk about connection on the show, but I feel like this is a real chance to actually have the masters of connection, the ones who do it better than any here. So it has been a pleasure to speak with you both today. I wish we had longer.
I know, right? We got to get you on this side of the pond.
I'm not opposed to trips to Europe, ladies. We'll figure that out.
Good.
Well, thanks for being here today. We'll wrap up for the listeners, but they know where to find you now, wingpeople.io. Very exciting. And I'm sure there are more developments coming from what you're doing on the ground, especially at the event live. It's a really great place to be. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave a review to help us reach more listeners. Have a story of your own to share or know someone who should be on the show? Visit www.joyofconnect.ing and let us know. Now go send a short message to someone you've been meaning to connect with. You never know where it might lead.